Greetings, ladies and gentlemen. Today is August 30th, and what a series it was for the Kansas City Royals, and the Dodgers are the first team to 80 wins. Let's talk about it. Hello, everybody. My name is Steven. This is the middle of the order. How are we doing today? It is the end of August here, our last August episode, because on Monday it will be September baseball, where the final month of baseball is upon us. Still 29 teams in the hunt for those 12 postseason spots, but realistically we know it's not exactly that. Teams have anywhere between 26 and 29 games remaining, so we're less than 30 games of watching your favorite team in this year. Of course, unless your team is headed to the postseason. Teams will start to clinch. We'll have a couple more teams be eliminated probably by Monday. So yeah, the season's kind of coming to an end. It's kind of riling down here. You know, school's starting to back up next week. The football season is back. Chiefs Ravens on Thursday, getting us going there. Excited for that. Excited for all kinds of sports, all kinds of things going on in the world right now. It's a great day, and hopefully this is going to be a great episode. I'm feeling really good about the season right now, and really good about the way the season is kind of shaping up to the end here. We've got some good series coming up, important ones, and of course they'll get really important when it's like, oh, win this by tiebreakers. We gotta start looking through the tiebreakers. So yeah, it's hot on the streets right now. But yeah, with that being said, let's dive on into our series recap. You thought this series was done, and so did I, but we were wrong. Tigers and White Sox had a fourth game on Monday. The Tigers were 3-0 throughout the weekend, and they make it a 4-game sweep as they beat the White Sox 6-3. Now on to this week's baseball. Leading us off, we had the Blue Jays and Red Sox. They played 5 games because of a suspension game. That was the first game played. Danny Jansen, of course, we talked about the history he made. First player to play in both teams for a game. Blue Jays ended up taking this one 4-1. And then on the Monday as well, doubleheader here. Blue Jays win another one, 7-3. Look at the Blue Jays trying to hold back the Red Sox from postseason. Well, Boston comes back in the next 2 games of this series, 6-3 on the Tuesday, and then 3-0 to even up the series throughout the 4 games. But of course, this is a 5-game series, and it's the Blue Jays and Bowden Francis, who is continuing to have amazing start after amazing start. 1-hit ball for him. Blue Jays win it 2-0. And take this series 3-2. And yeah, that's crazy. I don't know the last time I've seen a 5-game series. Blue Jays take 3-2 against the Red Sox. Braves and Twins. The Braves blow open this first game early. 9 runs in the first 2 innings, leading them to a 10-6 win. Then in the second game, we had to go into extras. The Braves score 4 runs in the 10th. The Twins can only get 2, and the Braves win again 8-6. And for the final game, it's a 5-1 Braves victory. Atlanta, hot in the streets right now. They sweep the Twins and take 3 important games back with them as they head to place the Phillies. Royals and Guardians. This was the matchup to note. The Royals, 3 games back of the Guardians in the division. This first game is a makeup from June 5th, and it ends with Bobby Witt Jr. A go-ahead blast in the top of the 8th. Royals hold on, win it 4-3. As we head to the second game part of the doubleheader on Monday, and it's Salvador Perez, the hero, as he hits 2 home runs in the game, 6 RBIs. Royals win it 9-4 and are now only a game back of the Guardians as they head to the Tuesday game, and the Royals came out swinging early. The home runs were being hit, and they end up winning it 6-1. Royals, they take the first 3 games of the series, and look at the top of the AL Central, Guardians. You guys have friends. It's the Kansas City Royals. The 4th and final game of this series would determine who would end this series in first place in the division. Royals were hot in this game early on. They were leading it 5-2, but then the Guardians come back in the 7th, 4 runs score. and it's the Cleveland Guardians that hold off. They salvage the series with a win in the last game, 7-5 your final. They still have a game up on the Kansas City Royals, but what a series it was for KC. Rangers and White Sox. The White Sox looking to try to not continue a losing streak here like they've done so earlier in the season, but they do get swept by the Rangers 3-1, 4-3, and 2-1. They had a doubleheader on Wednesday because Tuesday's game, I believe, was weathered. The Rangers break the tie in this game, in the second game, in the ninth with a run to make it 4-3. And then Travis Jankowski, what a play. If you haven't seen it, try to find that video. Robs what would have been the game-winning walk-off home run from Andrew Vaughn. Absolute takes one back. A great play by Jankowski. The Rangers sweep the White Sox. Angels and Tigers. The Tigers are hot right now in the streets. Are they going to make a late push for the postseason? 6-2 Tigers, 3-2 Tigers. They're back above 500. They're 2 games above 500 before losing on the final game. 3-0 Angels. LA breaks their 7-game losing streak. So the Tigers had a 6-game winning streak, I think, and the Angels had a 7-game. They both end those streaks. Tigers lose, Angels win. But the Tigers take 2 of 3, and they are above 500. There's still time. Rays and Mariners. Seattle could have swept the Rays, but the offense just wasn't there in the second game. They win it 5-1 in the first game. They then lose to the Rays 3-2 before winning the rubber match 6-2 Mariners as they take 2 of 3 from the Rays. Why is this important? Well, the Astros were playing the Phillies, and that's a tough team to beat, and they showed it early. First game went the Phillies' way as Bryce Harper walks it off with a base hit in the 10th inning. 3-2 Phillies your final. They come back and shut down the Astros. They shut them out 5-0 to take the series. But then on the final day, the Astros and Yordan have had enough. Yordan Alvarez, 3 home runs in the game, and the Astros, with Spencer Irrigati on the mound, shuts down the Phillies. 10-0 your final there, but the Phillies do take 2 of 3 from Houston, so they lose the game against the Braves as well. And Seattle gets the game back on the Astros. Moves are happening here. Yankees and Nationals. The opener of this series is Dylan Cruz making his major league debut. He did not get a hit, unfortunately, as the Yankees rolled on to win it 5-2. But then how about the Nationals in the second games? Patrick Corbin with a nice start against the Yankees. Who would have thought that was going to happen? 4-2 Nationals in the second game. And then for the rubber match, Dylan Cruz, how about a leadoff bomb for your first MLB home run? Nationals win it 5-2 and take 2 of 3 from the Yankees. A's and Reds was a surprisingly fun and close series. First game, 5-4 A's. Oakland a little late comeback there. They win that game. They then win it 9-6 in the second game. Oakland looking for the sweep. They're down a run in the ninth, but Lawrence Butler, he destroys a ball to tie the game. He was electric. His home run screech was heard around the world. But why? It was because it was his 3rd home run of the game. His second 3-homer day this season. That tied it up. They then took the lead in the ninth with 3 runs, but the Reds came back in the bottom of the ninth, scoring those 3 runs back. TJ Friedl walks it off. This was a great and fun game between 2 teams who probably won't make the postseason. Reds win it 10-9. Oakland takes 2 of 3 in the series. Cubs and Pirates, and whatever was in the Cubs bats this week was working. 18-8 Cubs in the first game. That's right, 18 runs for the Cubs. They followed it up with a 9-5 performance on the second game, and for the last game, the Pirates were up 10-3 entering the 7th. But then the Cubs came back. They scored 11 runs in the last 3 innings. They win it 14-10. It's the first time in Major League history that a team was up 7 runs in the 7th and then lost that game. And the Cubs offense scores 41 runs in the series, a Major League best this season. Giants and Brewers now. The Giants open up this series a 5-4 win. They need to get some more wins on the board and fast, but the Brewers will not let them as they take the other 2 games of this series, 5-3 Milwaukee and then 6-0 Brewers, as the Brewers take 2 of 3 from the Giants. Padres and Cardinals, where they played 4 games this week, and it was looking very San Diego heavy as they take the first 2 games of the series, a 7-4 win followed by a 7-5 win. As the Padres look in cruise control, the Cardinals would get a win in the 3rd game thanks to a Nolan Arenado who walks it off, his second walk-off for the Cardinals in the past 2 weeks. He had that walk-off grand slam a week or 2 ago. It was a 4-3 Cardinals win, and that sparked them for the final game as they win it 4-1. The Cardinals and Padres split the 4-game set 2 apiece. And speaking of a 4-game set, the Marlins and the Rockies had a 4-game set. The 2 teams at the bottom of the NL standings, which would come out on top. Rockies take a 3-2 first game. The 2nd game was crazy as the Marlins were down big time in this 2nd game, but they score 5 runs in the 9th to come back and win it. Jesus Sanchez, the 3-run go-ahead home run for the lead, capped off those 5 runs, and it's a 9-8 Marlins victory. Rockies wouldn't have that as they shut them out. They don't shut them out, but they win it 8-2 in the 3rd game. But the Marlins come back in the 4th game, a 12-8 victory. So the 2 teams at the bottom of the NL standings split the 4-game set 2 apiece. So they're still pretty much tied for the worst teams in the NL. Mets and D-backs. This was a fun one. D-backs were very hot entering this series. They get the loss on the 1st game. The Mets win it 8-3. In the 2nd game, the Mets were up 5-4, but the bases were loaded for Corbin Carroll, who's admittedly had a slow season, a sophomore slump for sure for Carroll, but he's been hot recently, and he comes up in the clutch, a go-ahead grand slam for the D-backs as they end up winning this one 8-5. And for the rematch, it is the Mets. It was 2-2. They score a run in the top of the 9th, and they hold the D-backs from there. A 3-2 victory for the Mets, and they take 2 of 3 from the D-backs. Lastly, here we have the O's and the Dodgers. This is a big one for both teams. The Yankees lost 2 of 3 from the Nats. The Dodgers, the Padres split with the Cardinals. The D-backs lost their series against the Mets, so this is a good chance for a team to gain ground. Baltimore opened up the series with a 3-2 victory. And then the Dodgers followed it up by themselves, getting a win 6-4, your final there. So for the rubber match and the big key victory in this series went the Dodgers' way. They win it 6-3, your final, and they take 2 of 3 from the Oilers. And that is your series recap. Alrighty, now let's get us to the game of the week. And is there a better game of the week than the Royals and the Guardians? Battling for first place, Royals have taken the first 3 games of the series. They are tied it and now are looking to get a 4-game sweep against the Guardians. Top of the first is where things get going for the Royals early. Michael Massey, he leads off this game, a home run at number 11 on the year. After they get Bobby Witt Jr. out, it's Vinny Pasquantino who hits his 19th home run of the year. The Royals take an early 2-0 lead. Bottom of the first, though, the Guardians are right there to get a run back as Josh Naylor grounds out, forcing in a run, and it makes it 2-1 Royals. Top of the third, they got Bobby Witt Jr. out in the first, but not in the third, as he hits his 28th home run on the year. 3-1 Kansas City here. Bottom of the fifth, it's Stephen Kwan who singles in a run to make it 3-2. Things are looking good for the Royals in the 6th inning here, though. Adam Frazier, he singles in a run to make it 4-2, and then Miguel Garcia with a single, 5-2 Royals. They're looking good. They're 3 innings away from the 4-game sweep and from having sole first possession of the AL Central. Bottom of the 7th, though, is where trouble brews. It's Bo Naylor hitting his 11th home run on the season to make it 5-3, a solo shot for him. Then it's his brother Josh Naylor who singles in a run to make it 5-4. Will Brennan is right behind him with a single to tie the game up 5-5. And then it is Young Kenzie Noel. I know I pronounced that wrong. John Kenzie Noel with the single. Big Christmas himself gives the Guardians the lead 6-5. And then just for some insurance in case in the bottom of the 8th, Andres Jimenez gets a sac fly, scores a run to make it 7-5, your final. And the Guardians stay atop the AL Central. The Royals gave it a run for their money, and they're right there with a full month to play, but the Guardians hold on, win it 7-5, and that was your game of the week. All right, now to start our baseball news, let's just stay with the Royals because, that's all I want to talk about is Kansas City right now. This is the Royals episode right here. An incredible series, just absolutely stunning series for the Royals, what they were able to do against the Guardians here. Simply put, amazing. They opened up this series, a double header, it's just a rained out game. They're 3 games back. You got 4 games to play. So yeah, at minimum, you're a game above the Guardians. But if you guys blow this series, you guys kind of blow open the door for the Central, because if you had let's say lost 3 or 4, you would have been 6 games back, 5 games back. So yeah, it was just not where you wanted to be if you were the Royals here. They open up strong. It's a close game, 3-3 in the first one. Who else but the would-be MVP if it wasn't for Aaron Judge? So Bobby Witt Jr. is going to be second for MVP. He's going to get some first place votes, but he's eventually going to lose out to Aaron Judge. That's the way the MVP is looking for the AL. Bobby Witt has been spectacular. He was my pick for the MVP, and I'm safely saying he's having a phenomenal season. I think this is only the start for the kid as well. He comes up clutch, a great home run in the top of the 8th, puts the Royals up 1. They win the first game. Great. Now you're just down 2 games, but you have a doubleheader. So let's go focus on that. Let's go win that. Bobby Witt's the star of this team right now. He is the sensational guy. You've got all these new players. Some guys have been brought in. Some of the young rookies they've had in their farm system. Guys like MJ Melendez and Vinny Pasquantino, Miguel Garcia, Freddie Fermin. All these guys have been doing it. They've had some help from other teams. Garrett Hampson from the Rockies, Paul DeYoung from the White Sox. They've gotten these pieces. The pitching, they went out and they spent this offseason guys like why is the first guy I thought of I'm now blanking on? Seth Lugo, Michael Waka, that was the guy I was blanking on. And of course you have your young guys, Brady Singer as well, Cole Reagans. You guys have made yourselves a really good team. But what you also need in this situation to have a team like this and to have it perform on certain high levels is your veteran leader. And people forget about how good Salvador Perez still is. He comes up huge in the second game, going 2 for 4, hits a solo shot and a grand slam, and also grounds out for an RBI. 6 RBIs for Salvador Perez. He is the leader. He is the star of this team. He might not be catching as much anymore, but he plays the DH. He's played a couple games at first. His offensive production is still there. He's got an 835 OPS this season. I think that's second best on his team after Bobby Witt. He still does it game in and game out. They would not be where they are right now without him, without his leadership of that team. The Royals come out big with that grand slam, really blows open this one. Royals win it 9-4. And guess what? You're now only a game out of first place. You go back to your hotels, you get a nice little rest. And remember, we're in Cleveland. They're doing this on the road. They wake up and look, it's a different hero every day. Paul DeYoung, he starts this one off, a 2-run home run. Garcia is single, Massey is single, Furman is single. Next thing you know, it's like, hey, we're here. We've done it. And this was a bullpen day, too. Michael Lorenzen started. He went an inning and 2/3, gave up a hit. You pass it on over. You pass it on over. You pass it on over. The bullpen, it's guys you don't know. Like, I'll be honest, I'm looking at this thing, I'm like, okay, I've heard of you, I've seen you. Like, I know some of the guys, but to a casual fan, you're not going to know Long. You're not going to know Stratton. Maybe you know MacArthur. He got the win that day. Like, the Royals have built together a team, and this is the game that proved it. Because guess what? You're tied. You are in first place with the Guardians. Not only are you tied, but this is also the game you clinched the tiebreaker. So right now, you guys are in first, essentially. You guys are in the driver's seat. You have the same record, but if the season ended today and you guys had the same record, guess what, Royals? Congratulations on your AL Central division. The Kansas City Royals, AL Central winners. Who would have thought that at the beginning of the season? I bet on the wrong horse. I had a feeling that the division was not going to be won by the Guardians or the Twins. You had a Tigers team with young prospects and some fun upside, and you had the Royals, who spent some, surprising money in the offseason, got some interesting pitchers. One of those teams was going to come first. One of those teams was going to come fourth. That's what I thought. And I put the Tigers first and the Royals fourth. That was my mistake, because if I switched it around, I'm pretty much correct in my AL Central division picks. Like, I thought the Royals would be great. I didn't think they would be this good. They're tied for first at this point with the Guardians. Of course, the last game goes a little bit awry. You had a 3-run lead. You let them score 4 in the 7th, and that kind of derails it a little bit. And now you're a game out, now a game and a half out after yesterday as well. The Royals played a game and lost against the Astros, and the Guardians didn't. But you're still in a position where, hey, have a good weekend against the Astros, and if the Pirates, struggle against the Guardians struggle against the Pirates, you're talking about being in first place. Remember, the Twins got swept, so you built a gap there as well. You now have a 2-game lead over the Royals, which even if you don't end up with division, they still have to, you're essentially choosing between Baltimore and Houston as of now over who you'd face. But, hey, like, Baltimore's fighting the Yankees, but look in the mirror. You're only 2 games back of Baltimore. So, like, the Royals are almost striking for first wild card and hosting a wild card series, which, for the expectations and from what people thought this season was going to look like, if you told me Kansas City was fighting for the wild card, let alone the division at the beginning of the year, I would have said that's pretty crazy. And what happened with the season to make that happen? The Royals have 27 games left to play. They've got some tough opponents. They have 3 against the Yankees, 3 against the Braves, 3 against the Astros that are being played this weekend. Of course, they do have still 3 against the Twins and 3 against the Guardians, so those are still games that they have control over. They also have the Pirates for 4, the Nats for 3, the Giants for 3. So there are some easy teams in that mix, but there are also some tough battles. But this is what you want to see from the Royals. I want to see the Royals take 2 of 3 from the Braves, take 2 of 3 from the Yankees. Split the series with the Astros here, because that shows you that the Royals aren't going to be a team to mess around with. Remember at the beginning of the season when Will Smith signed with the Royals, and we're like, oh, the Royals are going to be 2024 World Series champions because Will Smith has been on the winning teams. He's been on the Braves, Astros, and Rangers the last 3 World Series and have 3 World Series rings to show for it, and we joked about the Royals signing Will Smith. It's not a joke anymore. The Royals could seriously make noise in the postseason here. They have a rotation that's been overperforming the whole year round. And you know what? At some point, it's not overperforming. It's just being good. And that's what the Royals have been. They've been consistently good. They have a nice lineup. The guys complement each other really well. If it's not going to be Bobby Witt, guess what? The rest of the team has its back. If it's not going to be, Freddie Fermin and Paul DeYoung, it's going to be Vinny Pasquantino and Renfroe. And the guys just do it day in and day out. They've been doing it all season long. And it's about time we start really dissecting the Royals this month, because this month will determine if they win the division, get a wild card, miss the playoffs, and if they do make the playoffs, how good they can be in said playoffs. If I'm being honest with you, against the Oilers, I don't really like that matchup for Kansas City. Let's just be honest. But against the Astros, or maybe even the Twins, the Astros series right now is going to be very telltale series for the Royals. If the Royals get swept by the Astros in these 4 games, if they lose 3 of 1 against the Astros, I mean, it kind of just begins to start looking like a first-round exit for Kansas City. But in the postseason, anything can happen. We said that about the Diamondbacks last year, and they were in the World Series against the Rangers. So I think the Royals are the team to watch right now. They're just interesting, man. And I got to tell you, I'm excited for their upside. I'm excited to see what they do next season. But before we get there, I want to see how they finish off this season. They need to get a win here, and hopefully they can do so tonight against the Astros. Alrighty, now let's give a special shout out to the Los Angeles Dodgers. They're the first team to 80 wins. And, yeah, it's about time. I mean, I mentioned it, I think, last episode or 2 episodes ago. The Dodgers, the fact that only just now are they now the best team in baseball, took them 125, 130 games to get to this point. But they are here. They're holding it by a game from the Phillies. So let's be honest. It's right down in there. If you take a look at magic numbers, despite the Dodgers being the first team right now, their magic number 18, they'd be the first team to clinch a postseason spot. They are the last team to clinch a division spot as of now. The Brewers' magic number being 19, the Phillies being 23, and the Dodgers being 25. And of course, that is because of how hot the Diamondbacks and Padres have been to start up the second half here, and they've continued it throughout the month of August. Padres, a bit of a skid recently. If they could have taken another game or 2 from the Cardinals, that would have helped them. But they're 76 and 60. They're 5 games back of the Dodgers. And the Diamondbacks, 76 and 58. They're 4 games back of the Dodgers. And the Dodgers are hot. They're 8-2 in their last 10. They just won a series against the O's. And guess what? They have a series this weekend against the Diamondbacks. That's the team that they're facing 4 games back. If the Dodgers... And this is a giant if, because I do like the way the Diamondbacks have been playing and all this fun stuff about Arizona. We're in Arizona for this series. The Dodgers are on the road here. If the Dodgers on the road sweep the Diamondbacks, they put themselves into a 7-game lead over the Diamondbacks. The Padres, they're facing the Rays, so, who knows what that means. The Rays have been playing spoiler for a couple teams recently. The Dodgers could easily just jump a gap and make this gap happen. If they don't, and if the Diamondbacks win this series, they take 2 of 3 or even sweep the Dodgers, despite being the best team still, you have the closest gap. Brewers have a 9.5 lead over the Cubs. Phillies have a 6-game lead over the Braves. If the Dodgers don't win this series, they're either going to be 3 games ahead of the Diamondbacks, or even worse, 1 game ahead. If the Diamondbacks sweep this series, Dodgers are right there. 4 games. You sweep, that's 1 game. That's right there. And with less than a month to play, you want to start building your gap now. 4 games is a good gap right now, but you want to keep it at that level. You don't want Diamondbacks or the Padres to get closer. The Dodgers have been clicking 8-2 in the last 10. I'm feeling good about them to win that division still. But 80 wins, first team to 80 wins, is still very impressive. Only a few teams have 80-something. The Angels don't even have 80 wins yet, or 80 losses. The Rockies have 85 losses, so they're there. Marlins have 85 losses. And, of course, the White Sox have 104 losses. But, yeah, the first team to have 80 wins. Dodgers should be feeling pretty good about themselves and should start looking for September baseball. Got September call-ups coming up. And, this series, though, very important. All right, and a couple last little things here to mention. A couple signings happened. Of course, the Dodgers got rid of Jason Hayward. He signed with the Astros as they optioned Chas McCormick to AAA. So more Houston Astros doing the whole send you down to AAA, figure out your swing, and then come back up, hopefully. But Jason Hayward, could he make a big deal with the Astros? He did so, actually, in his Astro debut yesterday. Against the Royals, had a nice little hit that helped them out. Of course, we'll be talking about that Monday. But yeah, that's a big thing for the Astros to kind of bring in this veteran presence, this postseason. He's been in the postseason before. He's done it on good teams. We remember his kind of struggling end off with the Cubs, but he's a little bit back to form. We kind of know the player Jason Hayward is supposed to be now, and I think the Astros need exactly that for a little bit. So we'll see how that goes. And then, of course, we mentioned how the Rockies, they got rid of Diaz, their all-star catcher from a year ago. He signs a minor league deal with the San Diego Padres, staying in the NL West division, of course, only in the minors. But I mean, that's a little bit different for the Padres right now because obviously they have Luis Campusano, who's been good. They have, of course, their top prospect, one of their top prospects, Ethan Sals, the, I think, 18 or 19-year-old kid there. But you're bringing over someone who knows the division, who's been an all-star. You put him in the minors, you see how he does a little bit, see if you can kind of work with his hitting a little bit, because that's part of the reason why the Rockies got rid of him. But if so, you bring him up, you call him up into the month of September here, and that could be a big difference. Having a guy who, has a little bit more veteran experience than Campusano and can kind of deal with some of the nichier things than he can. There's great defense in Diaz. I like the move for the Padres. I think it's smart, and I think that in doing so is going to make them a better team. I'm excited for the Padres come the postseason. But yeah, and the last thing I want to talk about here, of course, is the waiver wire here. We've had a couple of interesting moves happening. I'm not going to go over everything. Remember, this is when the Angels made this huge trade deadline push last year, and then it didn't work out, and then they put everyone on waivers, and it was absolutely crazy. There was two that did perk my curiosity that I want to mention here quickly. The Cardinals placed Tommy Pham on waivers. This is very interesting. I see a team taking Tommy Pham. Tommy Pham was a Diamondback hero in the postseason for them last year. And if the Cardinals, if they don't want Pham, if they think they have enough of an outfield and they want to try to pass over his contract, I think a team who is missing that kind of outfielder spot could do something like this. Honestly, the Royals might be a great fit for Tommy Pham here in the outfield. But yeah, I definitely think a postseason team is going to claim him. Of course, a player needs to be on the team by September 1st to be postseason eligible, meaning that he's either going to get claimed later on today or tomorrow. So we'll have to see how that goes there. And then the Rangers put Travis Jankowski on the waivers. Of course, the Rangers aren't going to make the postseason. They're nowhere near it. Jankowski was the guy they brought back. He was kind of a little bit of had his moments in the postseason for Texas when he won with them last year. And the day before he got placed on waivers, he made an incredible game-saving home run robbery. He robbed Andrew Vaughn. That catch was insane. That might be catch of the year. And then the next day you get placed on waivers. I feel so bad for the guy, but as the business part of the game, obviously. But yeah, Jankowski, Pham, obviously a couple others. Giants put a couple guys on. I think Theo Estrada, one of them. But yeah, that is the waiver stuff there. And we'll see what happens come Monday when we talk about this, if there is any other changes that occur team-wise from now until the start of the season. Of course, we'll have the September call-ups happening as well. That will take us to our injury updates, and it's the Giants getting a hit here. Robbie Ray and Jordan Hicks both fall on the IL. Robbie Ray, a left hamstring, and then Jordan Hicks, right shoulder inflammation. So some bad news there for the Giants. Is their season pretty much over? I don't know. And the other bit of news here, Vinny Pasquantino is expected to miss 6 to 8 weeks with a broken right thumb. This happened in yesterday's game against the Astros. When the Astros took the lead is when this happened from Pasquantino. And if you take a look at the weeks we have left here, 6 to 8 weeks kind of puts us, at the end of the postseason, ALCS / World Series territory. So, I mean, unless the Royals do make it that far, they're going to be without Pasquantino for the rest of the season. And that's a huge blow for the Royals, something that they need to address and need to manage and figure out, because obviously Pasquantino is a key part of that offense. And losing him for what most likely will be the rest of the season is extremely unfortunate, but we'll see how the Royals can work their way around it. We'll see how they handle the rest of this Astros series before really taking a look at what they need to do to address that injury and make up for Pasquantino's bat in the lineup, because that is a key bat that you definitely want to be with. But moving on from that, we have our outstanding performances from the weekend here, or sorry, not the weekend, the week here. And by no surprise, a Seattle Mariner is on it, and this one is Bryce Miller. 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, an earned run, no walks, and 10 strikeouts for him. A great start for Miller. Patrick Corbin against the Yankees, hell of a start. 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 6 Ks. Aaron Nola, 7 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 6 Ks. Another Seattle Mariner, Logan Gilbert, 6 innings pitched, 4 hits, no earned runs, no walks, and 10 strikeouts for him. Spencer Arrighetti, 7.2 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 4 walks, and 11 strikeouts. Great stuff from him. Brian Bello from the Red Sox, 8 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, a walk, and 9 Ks. Very impressive. Freddie Peralta, 6 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 3 walks, and 8 Ks for him. Nathan Eovaldi with Texas, 7 innings pitched, 1 hit, no earned runs, 2 walks, 10 strikeouts for him. Aaron Savali with the Brewers, 7 innings pitched, 2 hits, no earned runs, 2 walks, and 7 Ks. And lastly, once again, Bowden Francis. He has had start after start of amazingness. 7 innings, 1 hit, no earned runs, no walks, and 5 Ks. I think 4 of his last 5 starts have been 1 hit, 7+ innings, which is just super impressive from Bowden Francis. Maybe 3 of his last 4. I'm not sure the exact numbers, but he's had a great month of August, to say the least. And we'll look now for our stat leaderboard here. Not much to change, just a couple of numbers. Average, it is still Bobby Witt Jr. It goes down. He's now at 344. He still leads in hits at 185. Aaron Judge in home runs at 51 and RBIs at 123. Bobby Witt Jr. still leads in runs with 114. And then we go back to Aaron Judge, who leads in walks now over Soto at 110. Only 1 up on Soto. El De La Cruz with 61 stolen bases to his name. And of course, Aaron Judge in OPS at 1.198. For the pitcher side, Tarek Skubal is tied with Chris Sale. Both the two have 15, and then right now I think those would be my Cy Young choices if the season ended today. They both have the same ERA as well. Tarek Skubal and Chris Sale tied for ERA, 2.58. For the strikeouts, Skubal is a bit out. I think he's at 193, 194. Dylan Cease is at 197, and also tying him is Chris Sale. Chris Sale ties Skubal and wins. Skubal in ERA and Cease in strikeouts. He had a great start against the Phillies. 197 for him in strikeouts as well. Dylan Cease and Sale tied with that. And then in saves, Ryan Helsley, the only one with 40 or more saves. He has 41 saves on the season. He's looking good and trying to help the Cardinals get back into the postseason. As we now take a look at the upcoming series for the weekend here, of course, I want to start making my 3 series to watch, so we'll do that as well. This weekend has the Cardinals in New York to take on the Yankees. Padres in the Trop taking on the Rays. That's kind of a nice series for Padres, hopefully. Red Sox at Tigers. Blue Jays at Twins. Pirates at Guardians, Mets at White Sox, Royals at Astros, we mentioned that, A's at Rangers, Mariners at Angels, could be big for Seattle if Kansas City does well against the Astros, Braves at Phillies, of course, 6 games back are the Braves, that could be big, Cubs at Nationals, Brewers at Reds, they have a doubleheader today, I'm sure it's already going on, and the Reds are also allowing Rhett Lauder to make his MLB debut today. His first MLB start, I believe, is the second game of the doubleheader. So Rhett Lauder, looking forward to that for the Reds. Dodgers at D-backs, Oilers at Rockies, and then Marlins at Giants is how we end off this weekend here. My 3 big series to watch. If you're going to watch a game, watch one of these ones. Royals at Astros, Braves at Phillies, Dodgers at D-backs. Those are the series to watch. Of course, Dodgers and D-backs, 4-game separation between those two. Braves and Phillies, 6-game separation between those two. And of course, the Royals and Astros leading the Mariners by 3 or 4 games in the West. Royals a game and a half back of the Guardians, so some chasing to be done. Those are the series to watch. And that now will take us to the final part of today's episode, being our playoff predictor. If the series ended today, if the season ended today, who would be your World Series champion? It's about the same we've been having the last couple of weekends in terms of teams and positions here. The Twins in the 6th seed, Astros in the 3 seed, Royals in the 5 seed, and the Oilers in the 4 seed. Astros beat the Twins, Royals beat the Oilers. So the ALDS has the Astros at the Guardians, Royals at Yankees, and it's the Astros who beat the Guardians. Yankees beat the Royals, which means, hey, we've seen this ALCS matchup before. Astros at Yankees. And once again, the Astros are the kryptonite. They beat the Yankees and head to the World Series. On the other end, it's the Braves and the Brewers. Braves in the 6th seed, Brewers in the 3, and then Padres at D-backs, which is becoming a more and more likely wildcard matchup. What a series that would be. Braves beat the Brewers, and the D-backs beat the Padres, which means our NLDS is Braves, Phillies, D-backs, Dodgers. We have seen these series before recently. Braves finally beat the Phillies, and the Dodgers get revenge on the D-backs from last year, which means we have an NLCS matchup of, guess what, Braves and Dodgers. We've seen this before as well. And once again, it's the Braves that beat the Dodgers, which means we have the Astros and the Braves. Is this just the 2021 World Series all over again? Nope, the Astros beat the Braves this time. They get some revenge, and it's your Houston Astros becoming your 2024 World Series champions. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is going to do it for us here today. Thank you, everybody, so much for listening to this episode. 26 to 29 games, depending on which team you're rooting for, left to play. We enter September this weekend here. We're going to be in baseball finals month of the regular season. Still a lot to play for, a lot to go on in this final month. The dog days are over. It's the playoff hunt. It's time. The final month of baseball getting underway. Of course, we'll have our first September episode on Monday, and next week on Friday, so essentially a week today, we'll have our August players of the month to dive into and look forward to as well. So still a lot of great baseball to be having before the postseason starts. That's when the real fun stuff really gets going. Ladies and gentlemen, thank you everybody so much, and I will see you on Monday.